Hey, second grade. This is the first book, oh my goodness, the first book about friendship that we are going to be reading this year. The title is A Weekend with Wendell, and it was written and illustrated by Kevin Henkes. He's a very well-known author. Let's look for a clue about the story on the back cover. It says, "When is Wendell leaving?" whispered Sophie. Sophie's not sure she'll survive a weekend with Wendell. When they play house, Wendell is the mother, the father, and the 5 children. Sophie is the dog. He pinches her, steals the whipped cream from her dessert, and ruins her crayons. But what will happen when Sophie gives Wendell a little taste of his own medicine? And then there's a little letter, and it says, "I hope I see you soon." And then there are 2 mice, a rainbow, and it says, Sophie. What does it mean when you give someone a taste of his or her own medicine? Have you heard that before? Let's read the story to find out if Sophie teaches Wendell a lesson about friendship. A Weekend with Wendell. On Friday afternoon, Wendell's parents dropped him off at Sophie's house. "Wendell's going to spend the weekend with us," said Sophie's mother, "while his parents visit relatives out of town." "Oh boy," said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. Are you wondering why Sophie didn't say anything? I am. After a snack, Sophie helped Wendell carry his sleeping bag and suitcase upstairs. "Well, what are we going to do now?" asked Wendell. "Do you have any toys?" Sophie pointed to her toy chest. "Is that all you've got?" said Wendell. "I've got 1,000,000 times more than that. What else is there to do around here?" "You could play house," said Sophie. "Only if I can make the rules," said Wendell. So they played house, and Wendell made the rules. He was the father, the mother, and 5 children. Sophie was the dog. Then they played hospital. Wendell was the doctor, the nurse, and the patient. Sophie was the desk clerk. When they pretended they worked in a bakery, Wendell was the baker and Sophie was a sweet roll. "Isn't this fun?" said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. What do you think about the rules that Wendell is making? Do they feel fair to you? At dinner, Wendell said that he was allergic to anything green, so he didn't have to eat his vegetables. And then, when Sophie wasn't looking, he scooped the whipped cream off of her dessert. "When is Wendell leaving?" whispered Sophie. "Soon," said her mother. "Soon," said her father. Can you guess why Sophie is asking when is Wendell leaving? Why do you think? After Sophie's parents tucked Sophie in her bed, zipped Wendell in his sleeping bag, kissed them both, and turned off the light, Wendell grabbed his flashlight and shone it right in Sophie's eyes. "See you tomorrow," he said, smiling. Sophie shut her eyes. "I can't wait for Wendell to go home," she said to herself. On Saturday morning, when Sophie woke up, there was a lumpy blue monster jumping up and down on her bed. It was Wendell. She felt something pinch her leg at breakfast. It was Wendell. She heard scary noises coming from the broom closet. It was Wendell. Wendell used Sophie's crayons and left them on the porch so they melted. At lunch, Wendell finger painted with his peanut butter and jelly. "Isn't this fun?" said Wendell. Sophie didn't say anything. "When is Wendell leaving?" whispered Sophie. "Soon," said her mother. "Soon," said her father. At bedtime, when Sophie put her head on her pillow, she heard something crunch. It was a note from Wendell. It said, "See you tomorrow." Sophie shut her eyes. "I can't wait for Wendell to go home," she said to herself. And if you look closely, it says ha, and there's like spiky teeth, ha ha ha, ho ho ho, and this is Wendell, and there's Sophie running away, scared. Before Wendell's parents picked him up on Sunday morning, he tried to make a long-distance call. He wrote his name on the bathroom mirror with toothpaste. And he gave Sophie a new hairdo with shaving cream. Want to go outside to help me wash this off? Asked Sophie. We could play firefighter. Oh boy, said Wendell. So they played firefighter, and Sophie made the rules. She was the fire chief, Wendell was the burning building. Isn't this fun? Said Sophie. Wendell didn't say anything. What is happening? What's happening right now? The tables are turning a little bit, aren't they? All of a sudden, Sophie's making the rules, and Wendell's not saying much. Do I get to be the fire chief? Asked Wendell. Maybe, said Sophie. Soon, Wendell and Sophie didn't care who was the fire chief or who was the burning building. Why is Wendell changing? What do you think? What did Sophie do differently? Time to go, said Sophie's mother. Time to go, said Sophie's father. Already? Said Wendell. Already, said Sophie. When's Wendell coming back? Asked Sophie. Never, said her mother. Never, said her father. That afternoon, when Wendell unpacked his suitcase, he heard something crunch. It was a note from Sophie. It said, I hope I see you soon. What happens to make Sophie want Wendell to come back? What do you think? And here, just to mention, remember this? I hope to see you soon. There is that letter. What happens to make Sophie want Wendell to come back? What happened at the end of the story? What were they able to do? What did we notice? What did we see? We saw them playing together, right? And getting along. Now, I am going to ask you a couple of discussion questions on Seesaw. Some questions for you to answer after you listen to this story. But I just wanted to mention that sometimes, for our reading mini lessons, sometimes we're going to do picture books. Sometimes we're going to do our chapter book read aloud, the one and only Ivan. And sometimes we might do a little bit of both, just so you know. It's really important that you watch these reading mini lessons. So if you are at the end of this lesson right now, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a little hug, because you are showing up and you are doing your job, and I am so proud of you.